And indeed, that is the entire goal, Graham, to look after ourselves. So while I enjoy a cup of Sis Princess's best grind, thank you very much for that, much appreciated. It's time for us to have a conversation with Dietitian Shelly Meltzer, who's here to give insight on the kinds of lifestyle and possible diet changes that you can make, especially if you are at risk of vitamin B deficiency.
This morning, Dietitian Shelly Meltzer joins us to give us some very valuable insights into practical ways, yes, that we can easily adopt for making those lifestyle changes, possible diet changes that can help to manage the risk of vitamin B deficiency. Shelly, welcome to the couch. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Maybe a good place to start would be what foods or food groups are very rich in vitamin B?
You find vitamin B is really across all the food groups, but if we're focusing on vitamin B1, B6 and B12, for B1 you'd want to really see that you're incorporating whole grains, that you're incorporating nuts, seeds and legumes as well as your organ meats. B6 you would also want to consider your fruits like bananas and chickpeas because those would be additional good sources. And B12, your animal foods are really rich, so your milk and dairy items would also provide you with vitamin B12 as well as your meats. And if you are excluding meat or animal products from your diet, it would be important to consider fortified foods like fortified soy beverages and rice and coconut milks, for example, and nutritional flakes.
Are there situations where diet may not be the answer, and what would your advice be in that case?
Well, if you are limiting or excluding certain food groups out of your diet, if you are also not meeting your energy requirements, so as your energy requirements increase, so does your need for vitamin B increase. So in a case where you're on an extreme diet, then one would need to be cautious, as well as situations where perhaps you're not absorbing the vitamin B well enough from your diet. So perhaps if you're on certain medications, or if you've got an irritable gut for whatever reason, or if you've had
gastrointestinal seems to be a big
thing as well. If you've had part of your gut resected.
What then is your advice if you find yourself in one of these high risk?
I think it's terribly important to actually get professional advice. If you're thinking of taking a concentrated supplement, to see a health professional, like a dietitian or like a doctor. A registered dietitian will really take time to assess your diet, to go through where the risks are, where the gaps are, your food likes and dislikes, as well as understand all the risks and benefits that are associated with supplements. For example, you could be misdiagnosing, treating a symptom that you think might be related to one of these vitamins, but could very well be related to something else. For example, like anemia, it might actually be related to iron, not to vitamin B. And I think the other reason to see a dietitian or a case would be professional athletes, because there may be risks in taking certain supplements, so they would really need to check out the legality and the safety of taking specific supplements.
Yeah. And what advice would you give to those of us wanting, even maybe in a busy lifestyle? I kind of apply to myself where I'm up incredibly early. I always feel tired because I'm always on the go and balancing a million different things. What tips do you have for me and other people like me who might be feeling that strain to eat right and keep that balance?
Probably the most important thing is to have a plan. And I think so much of us, if I had to say to you, do you know what you're eating for dinner tonight? I'd like to hear the actual answer. Do you know what I'm saying?
I can give you options. I haven't quite decided yet, but I've got a few options, yeah.
Okay, so one should have a plan. I think it's important to have that discussion if you're in a family situation, to collect and recipes and to file them, and then to use those to construct a menu, to use the menu to establish and recipes to establish your ingredients, and then go shopping according to that, so that you're not shopping at
You can see the balance there.
And then to also plan your preparation, perhaps to actually pre-prep a couple of things on a weekend. Your snacks can be done on a weekend. You can also prep a couple of things that you can use in different ways on a weekend, and that can really save you time.
Are there any massive do's and don'ts, things that you live by?
Well, I think when it comes to vitamin B, we've got to remember that it's a water-soluble vitamin. So although you need little amounts, you need to get it in daily. But you can also lose vitamin B through cooking inappropriately, because it's water-soluble, too much heat. So you would want to choose fresh. And when you do, and when you do cook, to use as little as water as possible to get the water boiling. Then pop your your vegetables and food into the pot to keep the lid on. I sometimes refer to something like your chewing therapy. So you want things that are actually going to take you longer to eat.
Yeah.
And that your food should look vibrant and colourful as well. So you should have crunch and you should have colour crunch test. So those are some very important do's. In terms of the don'ts, I would say your storage of your fruits and vegetables and produce is very important as well. And another don't would be not to consume too much alcohol, because remember that actually will impact with the absorption. Yeah.
Thank you so much. These have been very practical tips. And I think the joy here is once you make these adjustments, not just for getting your vitamin B, but all of your vitamin intake, a better diet, better energy levels, you'll feel better about yourself. So much of that starts with your diet. But again, we have to reiterate, if you feel that you fall into a high-risk group, speak to a dietitian, speak to a medical practitioner, speak to your doctor before you just kind of blanket with one solution. Shelly, thank you so much. All of us, hopefully, have been able to, in some way or another, relate some tip that we can take back into our own homes to create a plan. It's about having that plan before you head into the shops, before you head into your kitchen, before you head to your dining room table to enjoy this beautiful, colourful food, very choosy food that you have chosen.